guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mina and today's video is going to be reading a bunch of books from different countries. I think I'm going to create this as a video series because there are so many countries obviously out there, and I want to read a book from as many as I possibly can in this video series. I don't know which ones I'm going to be picking yet. I don't know which countries I'm going to be picking yet, but I am still so very excited because I love reading from different cultures and different types of authors with different types of backgrounds. Writing on its own is such a beautiful craft, and I feel like once you add different culture experiences and different bringing up, it becomes so much more meaningful. And though I am not part of some of the cultures that I will be reading about, I am still so very excited because I love reading books from different cultures and I love getting to know different cultures. So this is a very exciting video series for me. I hope you enjoy this video series and I hope you're excited for it, as excited as I am. Let me know down below if you feel like this is a good idea that you would like to watch, because obviously these videos are for you as much as they are for me. And also let me know if you have any country suggestions you would like me to do in the next video and the video after that. And if you have a country suggestion, which book do you think I should read from that specific country? Because I have so many countries and so little time. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy. Let's get started with the first book of this video. Welcome back. It is another day, another video. As I told you in the intro, this is going to be a video where I read a bunch of books from different countries, and I'm going to start with The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Saëns. Not even gonna try to say that last name. This book is very little actually, and it's also a movie. This book is 83 pages, and this is also, like the sticker says, a major motion picture, so it's a movie. A lot of people really adore this book, and I have the French version of it, so I didn't even mention where this is from, what country. This is my pick for the country of France, and I've been to France. Not my favorite country in the world, but like, you know, it has the Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe, so it's not like my least favorite country that I've been to. I do adore the whole Parisian lifestyle. This is my pick for the country of France, and I have the French version of this book because I did study French for like a good decade of my life, really, honestly, if we're being honest, and I stopped because I didn't go anywhere with it, and my plan for this year is to hopefully get back into it. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. If it happens, I'll let you know, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. So for that reason, though I have the French version of this book, I am not going to be reading that one. I'm going to be reading the English translation, which I got from my library. It's very cute. It has little like drawings and stuff on some pages, and like I said, it's also a movie. Very popular, makes a lot of people cry. I'm sure you've seen this at least somewhere once or twice in your life. Very excited, and I'm going to get started with this, and I'll probably finish it today and start another book. So I'll see you in a bit once I finish this book. Pages into this book. I'm on page 9, and I am like 90% sure that this book is going to make me cry because of the way that it's written. It's written in a way where we have this man who wants to be an artist when he's younger, and at 6 years old his family basically tells him, no, don't be an artist, put those away, and he becomes a pilot, and then he lands in this one place and he meets the little prince, and we just follow his story, and it's so sad. It's already so sad the way that this book talks about being a grown-up. And even in the introduction, or like the dedication in the front of this book, the author writes that he dedicates this book to his best friend who was also a kid at some point but doesn't remember being a kid, because most people don't remember being a kid. And that just really, I don't know if I'm feeling extra emotional or if I'm like, it's early in the morning and I'm still not really fully there, but it almost made me cry because of, you know, how just like soft and like wholesome it already is. And I'm only 8 pages in and I have like 80 pages left. So this is gonna make me cry for sure. So love it, adore it already. So, you know, and it's written very whimsically. Like it's written in a way that is like soft and like very children's story, but the content don't feel very children's story, if that makes any sense. Like anybody of any age can read this book and still like it, I feel like, which is such a hard thing to do. With The Little Prince, and I will give you my review on it later. I am going to start the next book though, which is going to be Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which is obviously from Japan. This is my pick for Japan, the country of Japan, and this is a Japanese literature novel. A lot of people have talked about this. I've seen this everywhere. This is very, very popular, and I have seen this series of books, this right here, everywhere. This is a magical realism, I believe, where you sit at this table in a cafe or something like that, and you have coffee and you go back in the past, from what I know, and you have to do something or talk to someone from the past, but you have to leave the chair before the coffee gets cold, I think. I'm not really sure, honestly. I've heard a lot of people describe this and they describe it better than me, so maybe I'll have a better grasp of it after I finish it, but I am going to start this now. It's very, very small. I believe it's like 250 pages, but I'm very excited because I do really like Asian literature. I feel like I really do vibe with it. I have read a few here and there. I've read a lot more Korean than I have Japanese, but I am trying to get more into different cultures and different types of writing, which is why I'm doing this video series of reading different countries. So this is my pick for Japan. Very excited, and let's get started. started by reading The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I think that's how you say it, if I'm not mistaken. This is the book that I decided to choose for France, for the country of France, because it was published first and foremost in French, and then it was translated to other languages, English being one of those other languages. I gave this one 5 stars, and I'm absolutely going to watch the movie. I, believe it or not, have heard a lot about this, but I've never watched the movie or read the book. This is my very first encounter with this book, and like my very first time reading it and like getting to experience it at the age of 27. So it really rocked my world. It's really just so thoughtful and so thought-provoking and so deep, and it really makes you think as a person, and even as an adult. I feel like this would be good for anybody and everybody, and anybody of any age can find something to relate to in this book. I think it creates conversation, and it has so many deep meanings and so many different things that you can think about while reading this book, after reading this book. I absolutely really adore this book. 5 stars. I'm so glad that I decided to finally read it, because like I said, I've seen it everywhere. I just never have personally picked it up myself, and I'm very excited to get to watch the movie tonight. It definitely made me cry. I did shed a couple of tears here and there. Didn't ugly sob, but I feel like that wasn't the plan, and that wasn't the course of action that I wanted to take. It was not my plan going into this that I was going to cry. I have heard a lot of people do cry while reading this book and watching this movie. I feel like I will probably be crying a lot more about the movie than I am about the book. Some things did fly over my head. I don't know if it's the specific translation or what, but I am very excited to watch the movie. 5 stars, really adored it. Definitely recommend it for anybody of any age, because I feel like there's something for everybody in this. After that, I picked up Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I still struggle saying the last name. This is my pick for the country of Japan. I gave this one a 4 stars. I'm on the edge of giving it a 4.25 stars. It's basically the story about this cafe shop that you can go to that can take you back in the past. The only rules is that you have to sit at a specific table in a specific seat that a ghost usually takes. And so when that ghost goes to the restroom, then you have the moment to sit in that chair, get your coffee poured, and then you drink the coffee while you get transported either in the past or in the future. And you get to choose when you want to go back to, like what specific moment you want to go back to. The only rules are that you have to get back before the coffee gets cold, and that you can only see people and like go back to a time where you and the other person that you want to see have been to that specific cafe. So if the person you want to go see is not a part or has never been to this specific cafe, then you are not able to see them. And also that you cannot get up from your seat. So you have to stay in your seat and stay there. The time limit is that until your coffee gets cold, and then you have to get back, or you will become the ghost that haunts the specific seat in the cafe. And it's really interesting. It's definitely like a lot of very deep emotion. It's very thought-provoking. It tugged on my heartstrings. The last story really almost made me cry. I was really emotional reading this book. I really liked the first story and the last story. And I feel like the second story or the third story, whichever one is the sisters, I also really adored that one. One of them I was like okay about, but the rest of them were really good, specifically the last one. I am, like I said, I'm teetering on giving this one a 4.25 stars because it's really deep and really meaningful. I feel like with Japanese literature, it is really common for it to mean something and for it to be very thought-provoking and just thoughtful and intentional and meaningful. And I feel like I definitely lucked out with reading this one. I do understand why it's very popular. I believe this is a part of a series, but I'm not sure if they follow the same premise or not. All I know is that they have kind of similar covers to this one. There's a yellow one, a blue one, and a pink one, and I will definitely be looking into reading the rest of them because I just really adored the way that this was written. Very thoughtful, very meaningful, and both of these have honestly been like some of the most thought-provoking books that I've ever read, and they're both such different types of books from 2 very different countries and 2 very different like continents. So very entertaining, very interesting. Definitely didn't expect my morning to go that way. This one was 80 pages, I believe, and this one was 270 something pages, 280 pages, something like that. Read both of these today in a couple of sittings in a few hours, and I really enjoyed my time reading them. It is the last book of this video, and that book is going to be from no other place than my favorite place in the entire world. It is my home, my country, my land, my people, Iraq. I am from Iraq. If you didn't know that, now you know. I immigrated to the US with my family when in 2009, and I have been living here ever since, but I will always have such a special place in my heart, such a fond place in my heart for Iraq and its people, and that's my hometown, you know? Like, that's something that I'm always so homesick for. I remember a lot of my years growing up there and how much I adored it and how much I loved it and how many just fond memories I have of that place. Is the book that we are going to be reading for Iraq, and it's going to be called The Last Pomegranate Tree. This is by, I'm not even gonna bother saying that first name because I don't even know how to say that. It looks to be 300 and something pages. It's very, very small. Like, if you look at my hand, that's the comparison in size. So I feel like I should be able to get through this very, very quickly. I am surprised that my library actually had this because I think that's so cool. This is a book written by an Iraqi author and then translated by an Iraqi American, I believe. And I am very, very excited, and I have not read a lot of books from my home country because I just find them very, very heavy. They talk about very heavy topics and very heavy subject matters that I just don't see myself gravitating towards because they have a lot of philosophical ideas that they love to write about, and sometimes they can be a little bit pretentious. So I don't typically seek out stories from where I'm from, but this is the book that I'm going to be reading for the country of Iraq. I'm very excited. This looks like it's going to be so much fun, and hopefully it teaches me something new. I'm very excited to pick it up, and I already love it because I am biased. I will say it. I will come out and say it. I am biased because that's my country. So I automatically love this, and I'm very excited, and we'll see what it's about because I have no idea as of right now. Next day, I actually started with The Last Pomegranate Tree last night, and I read like 10 to 15 pages, and then I picked it back up again today, and now I'm on page 110, and had a moment where I thought about DNFing this book, and that moment lasted maybe 3 hours, and then I decided that I actually do not want to DNF this book because I really want to push through. I think that it's written very, very beautifully. There's very beautiful lines written in here that I can't help but underline, and it's a story about this man who has been in prison for 21 years, and he's just now being released into the world, and he's trying to find his son who passed away, and we're trying to figure out how and why his son passed away and what were his last days like. So it's very interesting, very, very heavy and very hard-hitting and very deep, and it talks a lot about the politics of the world back then. It's taking a little bit longer than usual for me to get into the story. Like I said, I'm a third of the way through because this book is like 300 something pages, and I thought about DNFing it for this whole morning. Every 50 pages I read, I have to like take a break and go do something because I can't focus on it for too long without getting bored and then wanting to go read something else, because obviously this book is mostly about a son and his father and the man who is imprisoned, and it doesn't have any like romance, it doesn't have anything crazy. It's just literally a story about a father finding out how the world changed when he was imprisoned for 21 years. And it's a very, very deep story, very different, very unlike anything else I've ever read. And for that reason, it is a little bit harder to get into it. And it's very hard because of the way that it's written as well, because it's written in a way that is so pretentious almost. I don't think it's 100% pretentious. I do think it's very much flowery writing that makes you think and makes me pause a lot than I usually would. So it's taking me a little bit longer than usual to get through this, but I'm hoping to get through it today. I think I should be able to. I don't have anything to do other than read, and honestly, I just really want to get through this book so I can move on, because I don't want it to put me in a reading slump. So I am going to continue on with my 50 pages of reading, then taking a break, 50 pages of reading, then taking a break until I'm finished, which I only have like 200 more pages, so it shouldn't take me long. It is like 2 p.m. right now. It's 2:30, and I'm hoping to be done by like 5. If I'm done by 5 p.m., I'll be more than happy, and that'll be a success for me. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Really beautiful writing and really beautiful quotes in here. So that's my thoughts so far, and I'm gonna get back into reading so I don't get too bored and not pick it back up. I have pushed through my mental boundaries, and I have finished with The Last Pomegranate Tree. Oh my god, this book did not end. This book did not end. It is now 4:30 p.m. So around the time that I thought I would finish it, honestly, a little bit earlier, so I'm very proud of myself. I really just definitely, sat down and did not get off from my book. That's a lie. I had a couple of breaks here and there. I found that really helped me in getting back into the story. Like with some books, if you leave the story, then it feels like you're disconnecting from the characters. With this one, because it was so much, I felt like I needed to step away, because it's not in a style. I think that's what it is. I think it's the fact that it's written in a style that I'm not used to. With The Country of France, I was reading The Little Prince, which is really, really easy to read. Even though some of it was a little bit harder to understand, it was still a children's book, so it wasn't really so complicated. And then with When the Coffee Gets Cold or Before the Coffee Gets Cold, that one, I've read Japanese literature before and I've read Korean literature before, so I knew how Asian literature goes. With this, I had no experience in how translated works from Arabic are. This is my very first translation. Actually, this one is not even translated from Arabic. This one is translated from Kurdish. It says literally right on here, which is understandable because it speaks a lot about the Kurdish and the Iraqi conflict. If you are at all educated on that, then you would know what it is. I really don't want to talk about politics on this channel because I feel like I'm doing it a lot these days, but there was a conflict, and the dictator that was in charge at the time, we all know who he is, I assume, I hope, created a lot of issues for the people of the Kurdish descent living in the area. And we just follow the story of this guy, like I said, who is imprisoned, looking for his son after he comes out. My god, is this philosophical, which I should have known. The fact that I'm reading my very first translated work from Kurdish to English, I feel like that's a very hard translation to get across, especially with the cultural aspects of it. I do wish I would have read like something that was a little bit easier. And mind you, I did already try a different book that was translated from Arabic to English, and I ended up DNFing it at like 30 pages, and then I changed my mind because that one was really, really heavy and very politically driven, and that's something that I've noticed when it comes to Middle Eastern fiction. In me trying to find a book from my country, it is very politically driven, talks a lot about politics. It's hard to find like a good little fairy tale, like a cute little, here's a cute fairy tale with a happy ending and a romance. It's very politically driven, which I understand because the Middle East tends to eat crap for most of the time. I do understand that that is what the people know and that is what people are inspired by and that is why people write. So I get it. I'm not coming here to say like, oh my god, all they write about is politics. That's not what I'm saying at all. I still really enjoyed this. Actually, believe it or not, I really enjoyed this. Like, the story of this was really nice. I think maybe it was the translation that kind of made it drag on for me. It's very philosophical, very like deep thinking, very, you need to just hunker down and like actually try to pay attention to what you're reading because all of it is so like it's so vast. I don't know how to explain it. I'm running out of words to explain this book, guys. I don't want to be like, you know, not able to explain things because I feel like the other two books that I read were pretty much very easygoing, very easy to understand, very straightforward. This one was not very straightforward and not in a bad way. I still really liked it. I think I'm going to settle on, I'm between a 3.75 and a 4-star because I really liked it, but the pacing was the issue for me. The pacing and the translation was a big issue for me. I really had a lot of problems just focusing on what I was reading, and maybe that's the way that it was translated, or maybe it's the fact that I have never read a Middle Eastern book translated before, but it was a different experience. It was very interesting, very different. I will definitely be looking more into the Middle Eastern verse when it comes to translated works because I feel like I don't read enough of them, and maybe one day I'll read an Arabic book on this channel, I hope. I don't know how likely that is to happen because I know Arabic, I am fluent in Arabic, but reading an actual novel has not happened for me in Arabic since like I was 12, and that was maybe like 16, 17 years ago at this point. So, you know, that's very far away, and I have not really dabbled into the Arabic world of literature because I feel like my vocab is very limited. So maybe one day that can be a goal for me to try to read something and actually understand it. But as of right now, translated works are where it's at, and I feel like I'm just rambling on because of this book because it took me so long to read it. Like I said, I first picked it up this morning at like maybe 9 or 10, and it's now 4:30. And I've just not finished it, and I had to take multiple breaks. And mind you, I read like 20 pages last night, and it's like a 300-page book. I should have finished it in like 3-4 hours max, but obviously that didn't happen. Still really enjoyed it. Don't let me talking all this talk throw you off of this book. If you like a really philosophical, very deep, very thinking daughter book, then I think this one is the one. I really enjoyed it, really different. I really do think that this video series is going to help me step out of my comfort zone when it comes to books, and honestly, I'm really glad I didn't DNF this one, even though I was very sure that I was going to, and I even ended up putting another book on hold at the library that was from the same country, but honestly, I just said, you know what, we're just gonna have to sit down and finish this book, and I am so proud of myself for that. This is your sign to push through the book that you are thinking of DNFing, because sometimes it's a good thing. I am the number one person to say DNF a book if you don't like it, but with this one, I'm glad I didn't DNF it because I feel like it's very different from everything else I read, and I feel like it's good to step out of your comfort zone every once in a while. So very good, very different, and very interesting, and I definitely recommend. Now, yeah, and with that being said, let's go to the outro because this was the last book. We did it, guys. We did it. This is the end of this video. This is a wrap up. We're just gonna review the books that I read, which were first and foremost The Little Prince for France, and this was really entertaining, really fun, really like just really warm and whimsical and very heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it. I did end up watching the movie, and I loved the movie so much. I still think about this movie pretty much almost every day in my day-to-day life. I really liked it. 5 stars, really adored it, and definitely a good read for anybody of any age, any culture. I think there's something in this for everybody before the coffee gets cold, and I really liked this one as well. This one was very thought-provoking, very interesting, very makes you think a lot about time and about the people in your life, and if you were to go back in the past or go to the future, where you would go, who you would meet with, and I thought it was such an interesting premise and such an interesting idea. Last but not least, I read The Last Pomegranate Tree, and this was a definite step out of my comfort zone. It is not something that I ever would have gravitated towards had I not done this video, so I am very glad for this video and very glad for it having me step out of my comfort zone by reading 3 different books from 3 different countries, and I will absolutely be continuing on with the rest of the series because I feel like this would be such an interesting idea, and it will really help me step out of my comfort zone and my habit of reading mostly romantasy, fantasy, and romance, and I feel like this was a good step in the right direction. I feel like it's gonna broaden my horizons when it comes to books and cultures. And with that being said, that is the end of this video. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have any countries you would like me to read books from and what your book suggestion is for that specific country, because I have no idea what countries I'm going to do next and which books are going to come from which countries. So if you have any recommendations, any suggestions, let me know and I will make that happen. And thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, that means the world to me. I hope you have the very best day. Treat yourself to something nice, and I'll see you guys again next week with another video. Goodbye.